When the 2021 census results were released last year, it confirmed something that many people already knew. For the first time since records began, Britain was no longer a majority Christian nation. Only 46% of the population, or 27.5 million people, described themselves as Christian, which displayed a significant decrease from the 59%, or 33.3 million people, recorded in the 2011 census just 10 years earlier. Even in 2001, the Christian population was 72%, totaling 37 million people. It would not be an exaggeration to describe the decline in Christianity from 72% to 46% in just 20 years as a significant historical event. While this may have saddened many, I think that this was inevitable. As a man in my late 20s, during my short life, I've seen how much this country and its attitudes towards religion has changed. If you are someone watching this video in your 40s, 50s, or perhaps even older, you will have an experience in this regard vastly different to my own, and can no doubt offer a differing and perhaps deeper insight into this question. Nevertheless, though not an exhaustive list by any means, I will provide 4 key reasons why I believe Britain is no longer a majority Christian country. Immigration and the growth of other religions. When thinking about the decline in Christianity, it is easy for us to just consider why fewer people are Christian in Britain today, and much of this video will cover that point. What is also relevant is the populations of other religious groups in the UK, as a consequence of immigration. Before migration from South Asia, the West Indies and other parts of the world, after the Second World War, essentially all of the UK was either Christian or atheist, along with a small Jewish community. In the years since, immigrants and the descendants of immigrants, from parts of the world such as India, Pakistan, etc., has meant that the religious breakdown of the UK has changed. The populations of Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam and Sikhism were virtually non-existent in the country in the aftermath of the Second World War. The 2021 census records that now combined, along with the Jewish population, these populations now officially total 5,968,000 people. If these populations were not present in the UK, then the Christian population would increase to approximately 51.2%. Increasing from 46 to 51% is not insignificant, and clearly the rise of other populations in the UK has contributed towards less than half of the population being Christian. However, this does not provide the full picture in relation to immigration. Over the years, immigration from Ireland, the West Indies, Africa, and other parts of the world, and in more recent times from Eastern European nations such as Poland, where the majority of people coming are Christian, has meant that aspects of immigration has caused a less severe reduction in the Christian population. While this is true, overall most immigrants and their descendants living in the UK are not Christian, and so again this is part of the reason that Britain is no longer a majority Christian country. Materialist culture and the growth of atheism. After Christianity, the 2021 census showed that atheism was the second most answered option for the religion question. A staggering 22.2 million people, or 37% of the population, do not believe in God. Atheists totaled 14.1 million, being 25% of the population in 2011. Therefore, in real numbers, the atheist population has increased by 8.1 million, and in the same time Christianity has decreased by 5.8 million. There is a clear correlation between the two. Though of course there were members of other religions who said they were Jewish, Muslim or another faith in the 2011 census, and now identify as atheist, the vast majority of respondents would have changed their answers from Christianity to atheism. Church attendances continue to decrease. If you ask people about their religious beliefs, they will say they are unsure, have doubts or no longer believe at all. In my view, part of the reason for this is the growth of materialism. Materialism is defined as the belief that money, possessions and physical comforts are more important than spiritual values. With the introduction of smartphones, social media, Netflix, Disney+, people have become far lazier than they were in previous years. Even with the introduction of hybrid working, many people would not even consider an employment role if they were expected to go to the office for 5 days a week, even though this was the norm up until very recently. McDonald's, KFC and other fast food outlets now all have delivery services, thanks to companies such as Just Eat and Deliveroo, whereas in the past this was not an option for consumers. Nowadays, everyone can have whatever they want at the touch of a button on their smartphone or laptop. Someone can watch an entire series of their favourite TV shows at a click of a button without having to leave their homes, rather than go to Blockbuster or buying physical copies of DVDs at a shop. Group chats have meant that social occasions can be arranged in one place, rather than several phone calls on the landline to each person, before mobile phones became so popular. People would far rather stay at home and have a lay-in on a Sunday morning than go to church, or spend their evenings watching Netflix, rather than take the time to read the Bible, pray personally or with their family, or get involved in charity work. The main reason for this is that life has become too easy, and people value their possessions above everything else. Of course, it goes without saying that some people have very difficult lives and everyone has their own issues, but the core aspects of life, such as employment, food, shelter, and material possessions, has meant that people do not see a need for God. In the past, when poverty was rife and people had much lower standards of living, people prayed to God and went to church to ask for help and guidance in their lives and for their families. People also felt a sense of community with their fellow parishioners. Now, many people would rather stay in their homes for longer periods, with all the devices and possessions they can enjoy. People are less reliant on others and faith. An ageing population and young people not doing God. Statistics show that the more elderly populations in the country are more likely to be Christian than youngsters. That much would be pretty obvious to anyone who goes to church each week. Many of the reasons for that have been stated in the previous section. Young people use technology on a daily basis far more than the older generations, and so there is some clear overlap between this point and the materialist culture mentioned before. So statistically, a significant amount of the Christian population is elderly. It goes without saying that these people are closer to death, and so in the past 10 years, many of those who would have answered Christian in the 2011 census would have passed away between then and 2021. This helps to explain why there was a decline in the Christian population by just under 6 million in this decade. Records also revealed that the median age of a Christian was 51, compared to the national average of 40. In the case of Islam, the median age of a Muslim was 27. Younger populations have more children, and while the elderly Christian population has been slowly dying off, the younger populations of other faiths have been having more children. Furthermore, young people, even those who went to Catholic or another type of Christian school, for both primary and secondary education, are not guaranteed to answer Christian on the census, and instead tick atheist. Social attitudes to certain issues have changed over the years, such as gay relations, abortion, euthanasia, or whatever else. The media, comedians, and other aspects of society constantly mock and criticise Christianity due to their opposing views on such issues. With young people being in an education system, watching TV shows and news outlets, which promotes values which go against traditional Christian teaching, it is no longer that so many have left the faith. The indoctrination in the education system and elsewhere has sadly led to many feeling alienated with Christian teaching. With the elderly populations passing on, other religious groups having more children, and more youngsters leaving Christianity, there is only one outcome, and again helps to explain why less than half of Brits are Christian. Uncoerced church leadership. I have touched on what is happening in the education system, the media, and elsewhere in my previous comments. The rise in the number of transgender children, i.e. boys thinking they are girls and girls thinking they are boys, taking puberty blockers or whatever else, is quite clearly a disgusting practice. A primary school child does not know anything about life. They are not able to buy cigarettes, gamble, purchase alcohol until they are an adult. But we have many in society telling them that they can choose at 5 years of age if they want to change their gender. It is absolutely despicable. Boys cannot become girls and girls cannot become boys. This, and the emergence of Drag Queen Story Hour, whereby drag queens read stories to children at libraries and elsewhere, stands completely against Christian values. But despite this, the church is generally silent on such matters and does not speak out. These parents are doing untold damage to their children, and yet the Protestant, Catholic, and other churches appear to be offering no pushback against this. Many people who were raised Protestant and grew up in the Church of England have left the faith over the years, as they became alienated with the change in stances on issues such as women priests and blessings for gay couples. So there are 4 key reasons why I believe Britain is no longer a majority Christian nation. You may be watching this and thinking I haven't said reason X, Y, or Z, and you're probably right. There are multiple reasons for this decline. As I've said at the start of the video, this is not an exhaustive list. What other reasons do you think has caused the decline in Christianity in Britain? Please provide your comments below. Many thanks for listening. Bye.